This segment is a record for exactly what I'm going to be doing over the next few days. Seeing as we've now got 10 days left, one of which I'm working, so 9 days left, it's prudent to try and get down exactly what I'm working on. I have this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and tonight as well, is to just finish off my image viewer, because if I play it, you can see there are a few bugs still in it. Only they're very small things, pretty easy to iron out. And as well as that, those days are to organise my text viewer, just to make sure it loads the right files, as well as that includes getting all the content ready. And I'll talk about the content at the end. That leaves me Monday through Friday to work on my email section, which is probably the hardest one due to the XML. It'll either be very simple or very difficult. I'm not quite sure yet. This is where we are at the moment. All the image links work. The scroll bar even works. The drop-down menu works. But if you go to the new album, sometimes it doesn't seem to open. I'm not sure why it does that. And the problem is as well, if you go back to Thailand, it then gets rid of the arrows and doesn't reset the bar. Which, again, it shouldn't be doing that. I shall look into that thoroughly next, because obviously that isn't acceptable. What I'm going to do though is put together all the albums for the photographs and all the albums for the text editor. What I'm going to do is this bar up here, which I think I can go back far enough. It has the images with their names on. What I'll do is in the text viewer, not editor, it will have that bar up the top instead of this one, rather than an edit bar, which is simply because it's not a text editor anymore. Because that was to do text editing requires you to pass everything through XML into different variables, and it was a much lengthier job to edit files to put into here to be edited, because I've got to cut things apart for the way I was thinking about doing it. So I just won't be doing that for all my old essays. But then my essays will have to be put in here. I've got to go around anything that's bold or italic or underlined with HTML tags, and my images that are going to be put in. I've got my Thailand album, my university album, a couple of project albums, which will be referenced through the emails. So users can look at the album individually, look at the text files individually, but they all come together when people read the emails. Kind of like an invasion of privacy, and how the invasion of privacy really links everything together, which is kind of what I was getting at. Now, this project is called Identity Variables. We are who they are. Again, it's Identity Variables. We are who they are. Now, having a title I find is quite important to help with things. What's going to happen is the locked areas, being the settings, the messenger will be locked as well as adding new images, new text files, or sending and receiving emails. Possibly just a lock on sending, because the AI system in its own right is a final project. It's that complicated. So what the login system requires is users to read the emails, reference through to the images and text files to find out about the author, which is me. And from that, they can then work out the answers to the secret questions and password, which allows them to complete, in inverted commas, the game. It shows that they've understood how to find people's information. It's basically how to invade someone's privacy online, how easy it is, how hard it is. Testing wise, now I haven't done very much on user testing. I haven't submitted for an ethics approval form for a questionnaire, purely for the fact that I don't feel a questionnaire is of that much use. The feedback I have been getting is from other SSAM students, and it's purely anecdotal, just on layout, design, things like that. Just on whether or not buttons work in a way that other people can use. They don't have to find it appealing, just be able to use. Because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a representation of the author, me, and my computer, and how I set things up. Because it's an invasion of my privacy through my final project's piece of work. And it will fit the screen and be locked. Now, to do that, I'm not quite sure about the top bar yet, but to make it a fully immersive thing where people can't exit the program, it's my work, it's me. So it's my images, my text, which I know I'm not going to get graded on the old files, and I know I won't get graded on some of the images that I'm using. But it's the fact that the context they're used in, the context the emails are used in, that ties everything together. I really did want to. It sounds silly, but it might be nice if we could do a BSA, a Bachelor of Scientific Arts, because that's where my work falls. It's coding with the art and design, with the contextual study, and my testing reflects that, because the testing on the content is whether or not I can understand the content, because I know the username and password from beforehand. But if I can make a question and answer that other people can solve in 4 or 5 minutes after looking at the content, then that's the overall aim. And to test that kind of question is simply a case of, because it's quite difficult, because you have to have a blind test. Once people have seen the content and thought about it, they'll work out any subsequent answer faster. So what I was planning to do is to have my secret question answer there, but have a fail-safe in the top corner so that people can click it and it runs through as if you put in the username and password. But apart from that, just put in what I think would work as a username and password. It's my username and password, my hints, my tips, my images, my text, my personal preference on layout and design, and that's supposed to be reflected in the user's experience. They'll experience it and know that it's someone else's work. It's not necessarily something that's catered for everyone. It's something that's catered for one individual. You don't go into a museum and say, I don't like their interface. It's not my style of interface. You go into the museum and you use the interface because it's there. It's what it's used for. And my work should be seen in the same sort of light. So yes, time-wise, we have... There we go, loaded this time. We have Monday through Friday to work on the email client. Saturday and Sunday of the next week is purely for... Sorry, no, Friday, Saturday and Sunday of next week is purely for evaluative text and packaging. Now, evaluative text shouldn't be too difficult, but I'm doing my evaluative text on my smooth scrolling function. And packaging should also not be that much of a problem. It's mostly making sure my commented code works with my chronological timeline, which you're using to view this, so you know it exists. Contextually, on what has helped me most in my work so far is probably the Curupper forum on XML, because the functions I've learned how to... I spent a long time learning ActionScript from forums, just going through tutorials and trials, and through the books I've got as well. And after that, I realised that I've used most of my time learning XML and learning ActionScript, because I didn't know ActionScript before I came into this. And the functions I've wrote are quite complex, because I've had to get a grip with things. But I haven't really sourced any of the work directly. I've looked at how things work and tried to figure out ways to get around them, to make them myself, to make things my own. The next tutorial will be, hopefully, a finished text editor and finished image viewer with populated content. I shall post that up on Friday. And then the next step, the email client, I need to make sure that I can get everything populating properly. As you can see at the moment, it's full of tests to populate properly from the XML, which after doing my image viewer, I now understand more about my XML root and how to access it properly from different areas of my project. Seeing as my new style of project has a lot more embedded movie clips. Anyway, that is it for this segment, and I shall post again soon.